Hi guys, I'm the Movie Guy, and today I'm reviewing the first trade of the Kanan comic, this one, The Last Padawan. This run has finished now. There were a total of 12 issues, so there are 2 trades. Today I'm reviewing the first trade, The Last Padawan, and in a few days I will review the other one, First Blood, because these are the only things in the canon timeline that I haven't reviewed yet, but I have read. Because I've been reviewing everything that comes before Rogue One in the lead up to Rogue One. I reviewed books, comics, TV shows, the movies, just everything that is in the canon and I could review because I read it or I saw it, that I reviewed. The 2 things that I missed, and one of the 2 I will review in the future, but I just didn't get to it, that's Dark Disciple. And the other one is the Son of Dathomir comic. The issue with the Son of Dathomir comic, it's out of print. So the only way you could get it is from someone who owns it, and the people who own it sell it for a lot of money, like $300 for a single trade. And I'm like, I love Star Wars, but $300 is a month's rent for me, and I'm not gonna pay that for a fucking comic. So yeah, no, I'm gonna wait for that to perhaps one day become affordable, but for the moment, not reviewing it, not getting it, and I'll stick with the things that I did. Speaking of the things that I did, I reviewed all the books, the comics, the things, and I put it all in the playlist. So if you've missed any of those reviews, go onto my channel, find the playlist, Star Wars videos, and everything is ordered in chronological order. So if you're not really sure when everything takes place, you can just see, like, at the bottom is the Phantom Menace, and then as it goes up, you have the Obi-Wan and Anakin comic, Attack of the Clones, the Clone Wars, Revenge of the Sith, whatnot. Like, everything up until Rogue One, I reviewed. And if you still have any questions about things in the canon, then you can just ask me. I definitely read my comics, so if you have any questions, anything that I perhaps might have missed, then let me know in the comments below, please. So, let's begin reviewing the Kanan comic, because ever since I watched Star Wars Rebels for the first time, I was like, why is Kanan the one who survived Order 66? That has been my big question, because I really was interested how he survived out of all the other Jedi that were killed. He was just a Padawan of 13 years old at the time, 13, 14, somewhere around that range. So he was really young, and granted, he was with his master, but I was really just wondering, like, how did you survive that? And this trade explains that. When the first issue begins, you actually see the Ghost Crew. It actually takes place during Star Wars Rebels Season 1. I don't know exactly where. It's just a mission that they do with the Ghost Crew. It doesn't really matter where. It's just somewhere in Season 1. And at one point, Hera tells Kanan, okay, we have to get something from the planet Kalar. When he hears the planet Kalar, he's like, I have memories of that planet. Not very good memories, because the memories that he has is that he was there on the planet Kalar when he was a young Padawan at the end of the Clone Wars when Order 66 was issued. Like, at the end of the first issue, this isn't really a spoiler, the clones that he is with get called, like, execute Order 66, and then shit goes down, and Kanan has to survive that. The way this comic was able to show all that exceeded my expectations. I was like, holy crap. This is not really for kids. Like, Star Wars Rebels is for kids. This comic is not for kids. There is some pretty harsh imagery that I'd say little kids that watch Star Wars Rebels, yeah, not recommended. But it is recommended for people who are, like, over the age of 15, I'd say. You know, people who can handle some pretty harsh imagery, because people die and, yeah, some harsh shit happens in this comic. And that really made me understand who Kanan is as a character, like where he comes from, why he is the character that I know now in Star Wars Rebels, that I also saw in A New Dawn. Like, when I read A New Dawn, I kind of got the gist of who he was, and I got a little bit more backstory already, but this comic gives a lot more insight to that, and that's awesome, because right now, Kanan is my second favorite Star Wars Rebels character. When I first watched Star Wars Rebels, I was not that big a fan of Kanan, but thanks to the comic and the New Dawn novel, it's like, yeah, Kanan is a great character. He's, of course, second behind Hera, because Hera is by far my favorite character of Star Wars Rebels. Actually, she's my 5th favorite Star Wars character in the current canon, so that'll be really hard to beat, but, like, Kanan is a great character, and that is because of this comic. Like, how the way this comic was just able to tell me who Kanan was, what he comes from, was exactly what I wanted and more. Now, also something that I look at in the case of a comic is like the artwork. Like, how does it look? For the most part, it looks really good. For the most part, the art is really good. And like I said, there are some good harsh visual images. Like, the comic doesn't bother with a lot of exposition, but it shows more. It really has good images that show a lot more than you can possibly tell in dialogue. When there is dialogue, though, it makes sense. Everything that is said is really good, and the dialogue is written in the way that I can believe that it's Kanan. Like, everything that Kanan says is like, yeah, no, that's Kanan. Actually, I should stop saying Kanan, because in this comic, for the most part, he's Caleb Doom. Because he changed his name at one point, of course. Because at first, he was Caleb Doom, a Padawan, but then he learned that he couldn't be a Jedi anymore. He had to change everything about him, like his appearance and his name, so that nobody could really track him. So Kanan is his new name, and everyone calls him that, but of course his actual name is Caleb Doom. But the issue I have with the artwork is a certain little character that I mentioned just now, called Hera Syndulla. Hera, I mean, I can look it up for you. Hera looks nothing like Hera in the show. I mean, I know it's Hera because it's like a green Twi'lek. Other than that, looks nothing like her. So that was something that, yeah, in my case it bothers me because I have a mad crush on that Twi'lek. I don't know what is wrong with me, but I just have a mad crush on Hera Syndulla. So whenever she doesn't look like Hera Syndulla, I'm like, you fucked up. You fucked up, my girl. I'm sorry, but it really is... I have issues. Whatever. But the thing is just, I was annoyed by the fact that Hera was not well drawn. It's a minor thing, I know, but it's, for me, it's an issue. Also, something that I just can't get over with in terms of comics is that I like books more than comics, because books go from left to right on the page and then from up to down. Comics tend to switch that up. Like, sometimes you go from a text balloon on the right and then you go back to left, and sometimes it goes from down to up, and I'm like a little confused sometimes. And then in the Kanan comic, it's no different. I mean, people who are used to how comic books sometimes are weirdly structured in their text balloons, you have no issue following it. I have an issue with that because I'm not that big of a comic book person. Now, another thing that this comic introduces is a new world, the planet of Kalar. And the planet of Kalar is a planet with a new species that we haven't seen in the Star Wars universe before. And I like the design of the species. What I liked even more is the characterization of the species, because these Kalarans are scumbags. They're really despicable, to be honest. And one of the Kalarans actually helps out Kanan right after Order 66 is carried out and Kanan is on the run. Why exactly, I don't really know. I don't really care. But the thing is, the way he helps Kanan is really nice. And it also makes sense where Kanan gets his name from. Because, as I said, he's actually called Caleb Doom. But the name of the Kalaran that he's with is Casimir Janus, which pretty similar to Kanan Jarrus, I'd say. So that made sense to me, like why Kanan chose the name that he chose for himself. Anyway, that's really all I can say about Kanan the Last Padawan. I will give the trade an 8.5 out of 10. Like, it gives you great insight into who Kanan is. It really exceeded my expectations. But in the end, I'm just not that big of a comic book fan, so I can't really give it any higher. That's basically the same rating I gave all the great comics I've read so far, like Vader Down, Shattered Empire, Kanan comic. I love all those comics, but it's like I'm not that big of a comic guy. I prefer books, to be honest. But if you are a fan of Rebels, if you want more insight into who Kanan is, I'd say definitely pick it up if you haven't already. Anyway, now that I've given my thoughts on Kanan the Last Padawan, I wonder, have you read it? And if so, what did you think of it? Please, whatever you think, let me know in the comments below. In the next few days, I will read and review Kanan First Blood, the other trade, which I'd say is a little less in quality than this one, but still pretty good. So look out for my review for that. Again, I'll say I made a playlist. Everything is in chronological order, and if you still have any questions about the Star Wars canon, you can just ask me, because I know pretty much everything. I should know everything. If I don't know anything, then I'm gonna kick myself for that. And as always, if you've liked my review and you want to see more of my movie, trailer, and Star Wars reviews, click right here.